All right, today we are reviewing for the differential equations test, making sure we know what's going on. This question in particular for bell work was on the 2018 AP exam and free response. Again, my students were really confident in what they were doing, and then they got to this question, and a whole lot of them couldn't separate or integrate. So don't let the scary letters throw you off, or the scary words. Okay, the rate of change, cool, dHdt, of the height of the water in the barrel with respect to time is modeled by that equation. This is the derivative, where h is measured in feet and t is measured in seconds. At time t equals 0, the height of the water is 5 feet, and then they tell you what to do. So there's a whole lot of stuff going on. Use separation of variables, so SICIO, to find an expression for h. Get h by itself in terms of t. You're going to have t in the problem. Okay, so we're getting h by itself. What do I need to do with dh over dt equals negative 1/10 square root of h in order to get h by itself? Yeah, we've got to separate first. Okay, we're going to separate first. So if we separate, we're multiplying both sides by dt. I got dh over here. What else did we move? Aiden, what else did you move? Yeah, square root of h. We divided by square root of h on both sides. Everybody do that? If you divide by square root of h, are you right with me writing that as h to the negative 1/2 power? I'm dividing by square root of h, so I wrote it to the negative 1/2 power. It's just, I like it better. Did anybody move the negative 1/10 as well? You can. If you multiplied both sides by negative 10, you could. If I did that, Dylan, and I just had dt, don't do, I'm going to do it the other way because most of you did it the other way. What would you integrate dt to get you? Think of that. That's like, you would integrate the 1, so to get you what? T. That would be the reason why I wouldn't move it, because it confuses students quite a bit. But you could move it and multiply by negative 10 as well. It would get you 1, or it would get you t. Okay, that's my separate. That scored me 1 point. Once I've separated, then I'm going to integrate both sides. So if I integrate the left side, Cannon, what'd you get the new integral to be? Good. H to the 1/2. He added 1 to his exponent and then divided by his exponent. So dividing by 1/2 is like multiplying by 2. On the right side, the the integral of negative 1/10. Slade, what'd you get for that? Yep, negative 1/10 t. What else do I need over here? Plus c. That is separate and integrate. That is now, I'm now up to 3 points. 1 for the separation, 1 for the integration on both sides. You're already over half the points if you can get to here. You have to be able to get to here, or otherwise it's going to go poorly. Questions to there? Wonderful. Separate, integrate. Now we're going to solve for c. That means I got to have points to plug in. What point am I plugging in? 0, 5. Okay, I'm plugging in 0, 5. So I'm taking 0 and plugging it in for t. So that's just 0 plus c. I take 5 and plug it in here. 2 times 5 to the 1/2 power. Just because of it's so ugly, I'm going to write it as square root of 5, because 1/2 power, square root mean the same thing. That's my c. Good to there. That's 4 points. Again, it's a 5-point question. I'm already up to 4. Even if you're bad at the last part, that is where the most of my points are coming from. Now that I've done that, now I can actually solve. So we're plugging back in. We are taking this and plugging it in right there. So we're going to get 2 h to the 1/2 equals negative 1/10 t plus c. I want to solve. So what? Not just playing. You're right. Not plus c. Plus 2 root 5. Now we're going to solve. Luke L., what did you do next? Yep, divide both sides by 2. Over here, it's going to cancel. Over here, I'm dividing by 2, bless you. Or I could say multiply by 1/2, same thing. If the dividing by 2 wears you out, I'm going to multiply by 1/2. So that's h to the 1/2 equals 1/2 times negative 1/10 would be negative 1/20 t plus root 5. You don't have to distribute the 1/2. If you just want to leave it in front, leave it in front. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't need to simplify in calculus. I just want to clean that up a little bit. I don't think that's hard. Last thing I need to do is get rid of a 1/2 power. And your brain might not like 1/2 power. What is 1/2 power the same as? Square root. How am I going to get rid of a square root? Square it. I'm squaring both sides. I'm squaring this side. It's going to cancel. And then I'm going to take that whole side and square it as well. H is equal to negative 1/20th t plus root 5 squared. Don't try to simplify it. You're just going to simplify it wrong. Just leave it. Because if you wanted to square that whole thing, you would have to FOIL it out. So don't just make that just be done. Throw a square around it and call it a day. Questions on what we did there? Today we are reviewing, we're doing a very, very fancy review called Whiteboard Review. We're going to do some problems up here. There's some, to start off, let's do some slope fields. You got some different graphs. Figure out which one of these is the correct slope field. Go. Hold up your answer when you get it. All right, here we go. Slope field. We start off, we want to find a point to work from. Jesse, what point did you start off looking at? 0, 0 would be a lovely choice for this problem. At 0, 0, if I plug in 0, 0, what does your dy dx need to be? What is my slope going to be at 0, 0? It's 0. It might be hard to see, but it is a slope of 0. And so if I plug in 0, 0 there, it's not that. If I plug in 0 there, that's 0. If I plug in 0, 0 here, that's 0. 0 over 0. That would be undefined or indeterminate. There wouldn't be anything there. So it's not going to be d. Natural log of 0. You cannot take the natural log of 0. That's impossible. So it's not e either. Okay, so it's either b or c. What would be another good point to pick here? Awesome. 0, 1. At 0, 1, what's my slope need to be? Yeah, somewhere right there at 0, 1 looks positive for sure. And so if I plug in 0, 1, that would just get me 0. But if I plugged in 0, 1 there, that would get me 1. It's got to be C. All right, just picking some points, plugging them in, testing, jumping around. It'll help you understand what's the best slope field. Questions on the first one? Next one. Looks challenging. Use your brain. It'll help you out here a little bit. Let f of t be a solution to the differential equation dy dt equals ky, where k is a constant. Values for f are given in the table. Which of the following is an expression for f of t? Use your brain. Think about it. It's not as hard as it looks. As we look at this problem, the derivative is given. It's ky. They are asking for an expression for f of t. They said y is equal to f of t. So what do I need to do with this dy over dt to find f of t? Or in other words, y? Integrate it. Good. What is the integration of a constant times y? A equals, I'm sorry, just playing. Y equals AEKT. Y equals AEKT. What's my A going to be for this problem? A stands for my starting value. What's my starting value? It's 4. When t equals 0, my y value is 4. So this is 4e. I'm going to have some k, but I don't really care what the k is. There's only one that makes any sense. It's got to be a. Okay. It's just understanding what would be the setup. We could do more work than that. That is the best way to set up that problem and solve it quickly. Questions there? Next one, just separate and integrate. I don't need you to solve. Just separate and integrate. This one, it has a little bit of a funky step here, but nothing crazy. It's e to the negative y. So you can, how would I get rid of e to the negative y? We would divide by e to the negative y. And at first glance, that would look really strange. But if it's divided by e to the negative y is in the denominator. I have a negative exponent. What does a negative exponent do? It puts it back on top. That is that setup over there. And then 7 minus 3x over here with the dx. Okay? We are going to flip it. When it's divided by e to the negative y, it goes back on top. We separated. Now we are going to integrate. The antiderivative of e is e. There's nothing with my exponent. It's just y, so I don't have to do anything fancy there. And on the right side, 7 becomes 7x. Negative 3x squared becomes negative. Add 1 to my exponent. Divide by my new exponent plus c. That is the separate and integrate step. We didn't have to solve for c because I didn't tell you to. Questions there? This is a good one. We've struggled with this one the last couple days just because it looks funky. Which of the following is the solution to the differential equation? Oh, we're solving a differential equation? That means we're making it y equals. Right now it says dy dx. Okay, they gave me some points. See what you can do with that. Dy dx is equal to that. I'm trying to solve this differential equation, which means I want to just be y. So that means I got to get the dx's on this side. This isn't really a separate. It's just move the dx because there's no other y's in it. So then I have dy equals 3 cosine 2x dx. I want to integrate now. We separated, kind of, but then we're going to integrate. What is the integration of dy going to become? Which is what I want. Cosine 3 cosine 2x. 3 is a constant. Cosine, the antiderivative of cosine is going to get me positive sine. We would rewrite the baby, and then I need to divide by the derivative of the baby. This is reverse chain rule. Divide by the derivative of the baby. That's why I get the 3/2 in front. And then I need a plus c. So based off of that alone, I know that it's not d. It could be c. It could be b. That one's negative. It's not a. Then all I would have to do is plug in my point, pi over 2 and 2. What is 2 times pi over 2 going to get me? Pi. What is sine at pi? 0, and that's supposed to be equal to 2. So guess what? C is 2. The other thing you could have done, let's say it's test day, and you're like, oh no, my brain completely forgot what to do. You got a bunch of equations, and this point works. So for each of them, you could have plugged in pi over 2 and see if you got 2. Only these top two would have gotten you that. Okay, this would get you -2, and this would get you 5. So just using some plug-in points, that could help you eliminate answers as well. Yes, ma'am. You could just take the derivative as well and see if that works. I think all of them get you the same one except for the one with the negative. Well, it would eliminate some choices too. Also a good option here as we solve multiple choice. Questions here? All right, this one's a weirdly worded question, but I like it. Okay, I'm going to make it a little bit easier. If the initial condition is 0, 1, what is the range of the solution curve y equals f of x? What is the range of the solution curve y equals f of x if I go through the point 0, 1? Think about it. Get an answer. Kind of a silly question, but I like it because what it's really asking you to do here is draw the solution curve. As I go here to the right, my line is going to go up like this and then get flatter and flatter and flatter. Am I ever going to be able to go above that line? No. Because the slope is 0. It's just going to hit it and get stuck in that curve. Same thing as I go to the left. I'm going to go this way and get flatter and flatter, but I'm never really going to go below that line. I'm going to get to right there. So what's the range? 0 to 4. Okay, 0 to 4. They're not too concerned about brackets, parentheses. That's not something they really test over here. But that's the idea. It's going to live between those two numbers. Questions there? Just understanding solution curves, how they work when it looks at a slope field. Try the next one. Don't overthink. Read, put yourself in place of the problem and see what you can do. Find the rate. We are trying to find the learning rate. So a derivative for new skills is proportional to the difference between the maximum potential M and the amount that is already learned L. So what does difference mean? Subtract. M and L, you're proportional, so what does that mean? Times some constant. I'm looking for some constant. Times the difference between M and L is going to be equal to a rate. That's why it's C. It's got to be the rate. D isn't a rate, it's an amount. Okay, so we want to make sure we have a rate there. A weird question, but just understanding what's happening. Next one is a good one. See if you can think about it. That's one of those things we did yesterday. There's different ways of doing this problem. I'm sure there's a great way. I think this is the best. They told me why. They're asking me which of these is true. And so to me, the best way to do it is to plug in to see if I get 0. Okay, I need to plug in the second derivative, the first derivative, and see if it works. So I started off by writing y. I took the derivative. The derivative is e is what you see times derivative of the exponent. 6x becomes 6. Found the second derivative. And then I just plugged in. So for the first one, y double prime minus 2 times y prime. So it's going to be that guy. And then minus 12. You can kind of see here I get 4e to the 2x minus 4e to the 2x minus 12 minus 12. Is that going to get me 0? No. But I was close. It would be a lot better if instead of a minus 12, it got me a plus 12 right there, which you can see, hey, my answer needs to be B, because if this guy right here was plus, then yeah, it would get me 0. And I found one that worked, so I'm going to move on with that problem. Questions on that one? Let's do that one. Separate, integrate. Separate and integrate. See what you got. I'm getting y by itself. I'm trying to solve for y. So I'm going to divide by y squared. So it's going to be y to the negative 2 over here. I'm going to multiply by dx. So y to the negative 2 dy equals e to the x dx. I separated. Now I'm going to integrate. Add 1 to my exponent. Divide by my new exponent. The antiderivative e to the x is e to the x. Throw a plus c at the end. Boom, done. Questions on something we did today?